Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today, it looks like Bitcoin has been dumping, over the last couple days here, and we're starting to level out here on support. So we're gonna figure out what's going on. But before I do, I just wanted to talk about, crypto and energy. So at the end of the day, right, you have Elizabeth Warren, Gary Gensler, the central banks. They don't like crypto. They want to ban crypto. Why do they want to do it? Because it's a threat to the central banking fiat currency system, right? They don't like how it's having so much of an impact, right? And it's going to only get bigger and bigger. So they need to figure out ways to stop it, right? Because they want to have a centralized control system, and crypto is decentralized. So there's actually a massive solution to our world's problem, which is what? Money and decentralized, a decentralized financial system. That's what we want. That way there's no corruption, nobody gets to call the shots, it's all decentralized, autonomous, right? So that basically is the solution for what? For money. But what about other things like electricity, energy, right? Think about that for a second. There's a solution to the world's problems when it comes to money, but what about energy? Everybody's using gas, coal, right? Electricity, even nuclear, wind, solar. It don't matter what kind of energy you use. The point is, people need energy just as much as they need money, right? Whoever controls the world's money controls the world. Whoever controls the world's energy, right? That takes it to a whole new level right there. So, energy and money are basically the two things that keeps everything alive. So we know they want to ban crypto, but what about energy? Now, before I get into it, I'm just going to read this right here. So check this out. There was a video. It's called Energy 101 Electricity Generation. Basically tells you how to create electricity, right, using a turbine, things like that. There's been a lot of inventions that come out that they don't like and they take it away, right? So, it seems like the energy companies in the whole fossil fuel multi-hundred-trillion-dollar industry, right? Even the military industrial complex, right? Though that type of system, wants to keep things in line, keep things in control, right? And basically, they want to put a meter on your house, they want to put a meter on your car, they want to put a meter on everything. So basically, everything has a meter on it. And at the end of the day, even the water you drink. But at the end of the day, there's probably a lot more abundance of energy than we even can comprehend. But the reason they don't like to talk about it, right, is because they don't want it to interfere with what they got going on. So anyway, I'm gonna read something, and when I read it, it could ruffle some feathers, but I'm just gonna read it anyway. I thought it's very interesting. So here we go. So the number one reason why UFOs and aliens are so covered up, particularly electricity, no, not fossilized electricity like oil, coal, gas, or even green energy like solar, wind, nuclear. I'm talking about 0 point energy. That's why they don't come out and talk about UFOs and aliens. Because if they did, then the scientists would ask, well, then how did they get here? It's impossible. Nothing can travel faster than the speed of light, right? Which is 126,000 miles per second. Nothing can travel fast. That's what modern day physics tells us, right? And everything involving our basic understanding of modern day physics, it would unleash a massive explosion in the science community, ushering in a whole new world of, potential greatness, right? So, you ever wonder, you see all these UFO things, right? You might see it on the History Channel, National Geographic Channel, right? Now you see it on the news. So, it goes all the way back to maybe even the 1930s and 40s, maybe even before that. So I'm not saying it's real, I'm not saying it's fake, but at the end of the day, it makes, if one thing happened to be real, then chances are probably more things are real as well. So, all it takes is one story to be authentic, to make you question things that aren't really normal, right? So, essentially it would unleash, the truth in which the multi-hundred trillion dollar fossil fuel industry doesn't want to admit, right? They want to keep you paying for oil and gas and these ancient fossil fuels, when in reality there's super high-tech energy systems that they don't want to talk about. They don't want to disclose that type of information, right? Because think about it, it can totally revolutionize the way the world works. I mean, you're talking about billions of people in all over the world, right, who can't, they don't have running water, they don't have electricity, right? This would totally transform a lot of the areas that really need it the most. And also it would help improve, I mean, basically everything if you had super high-tech energy systems, right? But at the end of the day, it's kind of like the cure for cancer. Well, is it beneficial for the medical society to release it? Well, you say, well, you can make a lot of money, but then they actually make more money by treating you than they do curing you, because if they treat you, you come back 15, 20 times versus come in once, one and done, right? So it's all a business to them. And the same thing when it goes with medical, same thing goes with energy, same thing goes with money, like crypto, right? So at the end of the day, this is a very interesting, topics. And let me continue. It says, real American Revolution, claiming independence, not from Britain, right, but from the ultimate slave masters, which is the central banking, military, industrial complex, the energy system that is basically controlling our entire existence. Whoever controls the world's energy controls the world, and that is why UFOs and aliens are so covered up. It's not about them, it's about keeping control over us and putting a meter on your car and on your house and basically your entire life. When in reality there's an abundance of free energy all around us. It's all about tapping into that. That is the ultimate government cover-up. Well, maybe not, but go on. It says, which it can cure most of mankind's problems like disease, sickness, illness, food, and water. But that's probably just scratching the surface. There's definitely a lot more to it. UAP, unidentified aerial phenomenon, UFO energy, It's kind of funny how they changed the name from UFO to UAP. Well, first of all, it's not a UFO because it's not unidentified and it doesn't fly, right? Flying is using wind resistance with an upward drift. But these things are on a completely different level, and if it's real or not, that's up for you to judge. I'm not sitting here telling you what to think, but at the end of the day, if you have billions and billions of stars, there's got to be some form of life out there. Now, regardless if there is or not, the whole thing is how can they possibly get here when there's not much life out there, or that's what we've been told. So, it begs the question, well, maybe it's not really about aliens per se. Maybe it's about what they know, and what they know is what our government, our puppet masters don't want us to know. Right? Knowledge is power, and power is a threat because they are the almighty, all-powerful, and they got to keep you in line. They got to keep you in control, right? That's why we don't, like I've always said, we don't live in a people system, right? We live in a deep state, central banking, fiat currency system, right? They have the power to print money out of nothing, right? Then they have the audacity to usher it onto our own elected government. And then they have, to add salt to the injury, they also have the power to put interest on money that they created from nothing, right? So when you talk about that is an ultimate form of control, right? When you talk about energy as well, that is the ultimate form of control. We need energy just as much as we need a currency system of some sort, right? A ledger, right? And that's why crypto is so important. That's why I'm in crypto, distributed ledger technology, right? These new technologies, see, the government, they couldn't stop these type of technologies when it comes to money. But when it comes to energy, they already have a hold on us, right? Because there's been a lot of people I've read and heard about that created certain energy systems, right? Maybe they're not practical or that functional, but they work. And the government actually came in there and seized the patent, right? People create these patents. There's a lot of brilliant people out there that come up with a lot of brilliant things, but a lot of times they come in there and they take it, right? They shut it down. They pay them off. They tell them to go away, right? So if we came from, old 1960s technology to a brand new, the latest Android or the latest iPhone, right? I mean, we've came a long way when it comes to technology, and you're telling me that we don't have anything better than oil, coal, gas. Now, believe me, I like those forms of energy, and I don't like how we're being forced with electric vehicles and the Green New Deal and solar and wind and nuclear. Like, it's fine, I'm cool with it, but oil and gas, you got to have that to power the planet. So, and they want to get rid of it, which doesn't make any sense. But I'm all for with getting rid of it, right? Because what do they talk about? Climate change. Whether you believe in it or not, I'm all for the planet at the end of the day. And whatever we can use, which less emissions, is the best way to go. But it has to be practical, right? And there's nothing out there on the market that is practical to meet our demands, except for the big oil, coal, gas, right? Especially oil. So until that day comes, right, we're using ancient technology, which is oil, which is fine. But it's not giving you that unlimited potential. It still costs a lot of money, right? Think about how much it costs to fill up your car. So how would you feel if there was, let's say, let's say there's a generator, right? The generator is the size of a laptop. And forgive me, I'm going to get to Bitcoin. I'm going to get to the charts. I know people are like, what's going on? What are you talking about? Are you crazy or maybe a little bit. But I think it's important because it does relate to crypto, right? I mean, again, money is what makes the world go round, right? And energy makes the world go even more round. So at the end of the day, these two topics, right, energy and money, are two of the biggest things that are controlling our lives, right? And just to, I don't often do this, but I'm shedding some insight. Maybe it's true, maybe it's fake. That's up for you to decide on that. But yeah. So again, what I was saying, like, imagine there's a generator, right? Let's say it's the size of a laptop, right? Because every day or every week you go to work and you get a paycheck, right? And then you have to pay what? Your electric bill, your gas bill, your gasoline bill, your water bill, right? You have to pay all those things, and then also you have to pay for food, right? The reason why food costs a lot is because energy is more expensive, right? Think about how much money it costs to send, an 18-wheeler a couple states over for food, right? I mean, it gets expensive. So if there's a generator, right, the size of a laptop, and you take that laptop and you basically stick it on your house, now your house has basically electricity, right? Now, do I know how all this stuff works? No. Do I know anything of this stuff works? No. But at the end of the day, is it out there? Maybe. It makes you wonder why people and things are so covered up, and at the end of the day, it wouldn't surprise me one bit. Yeah, so I would like to believe, 0 point energy exists, and I would love to believe that one day that technology will be eventually disclosed, right? And people can benefit, all across the world from not having the burden of having a meter on your house. Basically, you have unlimited energy. Think about all the businesses and the neighborhoods, the cities, the towns. Think about how much money they would save if they didn't have to be burdened with, all of that stuff. And that circles back around to Edison versus Tesla. Now, this is where things get interesting, because at the end of the day, who did everybody go for? They went with Edison. Why? Because the powers that be knew that Edison's model is more manageable, it's more controllable, and I make more money, right? It's all about the money at the end of the day. So it's about, right, electrical lines, power lines, the same thing, electrical poles, right? All the infrastructure. There's a lot of electrical infrastructure that goes into Edison's, design of what we know electricity, right? But if Tesla's idea, right, which is a little bit more controversial, they didn't want to do that route, right? So just, if you don't know about that, that's a really interesting topic, is Edison versus Tesla. What was Tesla's invention, right? They looked at him like he was crazy, but now he's looked at as one of the most influential people about energy of all time, right? And that goes back to, why certain entities want to control energy, right? So, forget about politics. At the end of the day, everything comes down to how much the world has in terms of energy, right? Is how much it can produce, right? How much food it can produce, how much whatever. And the more expensive energy gets, the more expensive energy gets, right? And it's going to be more of a burden on us. And basically that makes us tighter and tighter, which means they have more control. So is this alternative energy stuff real? Maybe not. But I would be really okay, apologize for that. Someone was I had to pause the video. Someone was knocking on my door. But what was I saying? Yeah, so for me, it's like one of the biggest conspiracies, right? Conspiracy alert. But is it real? I don't know, but I think it's very interesting to think about, and I just wanted to share that with everybody. So you can do with what you will with that information. But anyways, when we get to crypto here, right? Because like I'm gonna keep saying it, energy and money. So if you watch like a senator get interviewed, or any politician, or the president, every question they ask them, always think in terms of money and energy. That's what it comes down to, right? So that's what makes the economies so weak or so strong. So think about how amazingly strong, like our economy can be, and not only that, for the rest of the world. I mean, think about how many people live in poverty. All the people in Africa, and a lot of people in India, and just all over the world. And a lot of it comes down to energy, and these people don't have access to that, right? So if there was something that was decentralized, like crypto, for example, helping out like Venezuela, or no, not, or was it El Salvador, right? Or maybe even both. So the same way crypto can help sort of developed nations sort of build their economies through this distributed ledger, the same way these energy systems can as well. So again, do they exist? It would make sense, right? I mean, come on, if there's an alien life form that is much more advanced than us, that was able to get here, right? You would think, well, then how did that thing get here, right? Because our laws of physics say nothing can travel faster than the speed of light. So a flying saucer, for example, let's say it's 200 light years away, it would take, forever to get here. And by the time they get here, they would be probably dead, maybe. So is it worth the trip? I don't know. But if there's something more than we can understand, like our basic understanding of how physics actually work in space, right? Some people say, like, going through the fabric of space, or bending it, or warping it, or wormholes, or whatever, thing that they want to talk about. It all sounds cool, but until you can prove it, but still, there's so many UFO and alien topics nowadays, right? And someone said they do that on purpose to make the subject laughable, like Hollywood movies, right? They try to put this social dogma on the UFO subject, so when people hear about it or talk about it, what do they think? Automatically science fiction. And that's sort of that programming that the government does for their little psychological warfare games that, like, they like to play. So, okay, that's all I'll say about that. But you know what? There is nothing wrong with thinking outside the box, right? And by the way, the person who coined the word conspiracy theorist was actually the CIA, to sort of, shut down sort of people sparking conversations about things that they don't want people talking about, whether it be true or not. That's not for me to say. That's for other people to decide. But it sounds like it wouldn't surprise me at all. And the reason I'm saying all this is because it reminds me so much of our money and our crypto. Is the same thing as energy and, a topic like UFOs, right? They want to kind of shut it down and don't talk about it, So time will tell if that ever happens. Maybe we'll, live a life where we're continuing to use oil and we're all 100 years old and we're still using oil. I mean, that's fine, but you would think mankind would find something better, right? And I'm not talking about solar or wind or nuclear. I mean, those things, again, they all have meters. There's only so much they can produce, right? Where it's like, think about energy like Bluetooth, right? So your Bluetooth, your phone connects to your car, and it's basically sending the signal remotely. So imagine you being able to do that with energy. That would be a game changer, right? So yeah. So Bitcoin for me, again, I don't know if we're gonna get a fifth wave. I'll try to make this short here, but basically looking at this as 1, 2, 3, right? We have an ABC pullback, and now we might be getting a fifth wave here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if we get that fifth wave, what do we want to see? We want to see bullish divergence. We want to see bullish divergence between the fourth and the fifth wave. So you could see the RSI starting to come down. Maybe it might come back up a little bit. Price makes another low. RSI comes down. We have bullish divergence between the fourth and the fifth. Then we want to see a base start getting built in here for a potential reversal. And that's kind of the way I've been looking at it. Now, are we going to get another low? Or is the low in already? If the low is in, that's fine too. But we want more evidence, right? For example, if we had a fifth wave and we had divergence, that would be our evidence that the bottom could be in. But another way you can tell is if we start building a big base in here, right? And basically have, some kind of bottoming structure, for example, like a Wyckoff accumulation, maybe some type of inverse head and shoulders or ascending triangle or something that can, tell us we're moving up. And the best one to be is a 5-wave move. So if we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, That's what we're looking for, and then we get that ABC. And then if that's the case, I wouldn't think we would break the low. Number one, because this would get too big, and number two, because we had 5 waves. Now, it could turn into a bigger complex correction, but it has to be within size of what this is. So for example, this could be A, B, and C like this. So we could still be in a B wave, right? Sometimes, or a lot of times, you get these flats also, and they kind of, look like this, right? Where it's kind of a flat situation, and then it comes down, right? And creates that 5th wave. So it kind of makes you think, no, we're going back up. We've already bottomed, right? We have a double bottom here, but then it comes back, takes that liquidity, then it brings it back up. So there's a lot of different things that could happen right in here. Right, I mean, we do have a bearish daily engulfing candle, which is not what we want to see. Let's see, the sequential here. Actually, if I remember correctly, 5-day chart, okay, the 4-day chart, we're about to get an 8 in about 3 days. So that's one step closer to getting a 9. So I would say within the next 4, 5, 6, 7 days, so probably within a week, we should get a 9, hopefully. So that means you need another week after that. So I would imagine over the next 2 weeks, right, if we get an 8 here and then a 9, right, and it's actually a perfected 9, and then we get a 1, a 2, and then we can start trailing back up, right? So I want to see a 9 come in here on the 4-day chart. Basically, I'm just going over things that can give us sort of an indication of some evidence that the bottom is in, or if we have more downside to go. Because, when you look at it from this time frame, we are still in the range, right? I mean, we're right here at the bottom of this range, and so typically, right, if you're people who are trading that, they sell the top. Now they know where the range is established, right? We know where the range is established. There's the top, there's the bottom. Now people can trade within that range. So is the supply greater than the demand enough to push it below the range? Well, we'll have to see. Right now, it looks like this candle is actually the lowest. If it were to close right now, it would be the lowest 4-day candle close since being in this range, really. So let's wait and see how this plays out. What's interesting, though, what I like to see here is see how the 4-day chart actually called the top here on a 7. Right? So maybe it's kind of going towards those 7, basically in 7 sequence. So look at right here, we have a 7. So maybe this could be, it's equal in size, equal in length, and we have the same number here, right? So maybe not. Yeah, not much really else to say on Bitcoin here. The triangle idea, right, is essentially A, B, C, D, and E. So basically we have some kind of triangle here, and we don't want to break below this low if that's the case. So if we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then it's not a triangle, right? It's more like an ABC, A, B, C. Right? So I would like to see a triangle if we can get pushed up here and then pushed back, and then we can break out. It could still be a triangle. It just might take a little bit of time to form that base before we start heading up in that D wave. So, but other than that, it's kind of the same thing. I would like to see reaccumulation in here. This is where we should typically have it, right? We have a rise, we have a crash, we have a retrace, we have reaccumulation. Let's go sideways and break out, right? And a good example of that is right here. We had a rise, crash, retrace. We came down to reaccumulation. We went sideways, and we broke out. So, this is the spot to hold right here, right? This is the spot we need to hold. Otherwise, this, if it breaks completely down, right? Obviously, it could still be an ABC, but it would look more like, also a double bottom or a double top. I mean, and double tops are meant to be broken, so it doesn't mean that's it, right? But I mean, you can see back here we had this started off as a double top, right? So it could still turn around, but if we do have to continue lower and backtest 50K, then we would be so far away from the bull market support band that I don't really want Bitcoin to take that risk, because it would be a lot harder to break above that bull market support band. So since we're slightly underneath it, which isn't so bad, you can see back over here we were slightly underneath it, but we weren't too far away from it, right? Like if you break too far away from it, then you can have a snapback, but then continue to fall down here. So similar to how this kind of got too much, and we lost it. We couldn't maintain control. But the best example was really back in 2017. The run up here. I mean, the bull market support band was never broken, or it was, but it was never closed below. So we wicked below it, which is okay, but we never closed below it, which is important. So that's why this needs to be bullish consolidation, not bearish distribution. But that's about it. I mean, back to the 1 hour chart. Let's see, anything here? I mean, we're a little bit oversold, I would imagine. Yeah, we got some bullish divergence here on the 1 hour. And we do have 5 waves. Wait, is that a 5th wave? No. So you could see this wave is not a 1-2 because this wave broke the top. But I mean, it could be maybe a 3rd wave. So like 1, 2, right, 3. You have some kind of flat here, maybe one more low, and get some more bullish divergence, and then maybe break out, break above that downward resistance line at least. But this could also be the start of an impulse to the downside of that 5th wave of that C leg we talked about. So if this whole thing is wave C, we need 5 waves in wave C. This could be wave 1 of that wave C. Right? So wave 1, we come back wave 2, and then we come down wave 3, and then wave 4, and then we get wave 5. Right? And if I zoom out, that's kind of what it could look like. But hopefully it's not too deep. So if we do lose it, we'll see how that plays out. We do have a 4 hour 9 buy here, but I don't really like how it continued to fall below it. It's trading below the 9, which isn't really what I like to see, but I bet if I change it to the 6 hour, we're getting close. I mean, 7, 8, 9, so we're getting a little bit closer here. The 9 did call the top here on the 6 hour, so maybe it's got a little bit of a chance here. So if it is going to continue down, I would imagine we would get some kind of a pullback first before it continues to fall, right? But this could still be I was hoping this could be a 1-2, 1-2, but it's no longer because this broke the low here. So this could be 3, and then we get another 3 like this. So 3 up, 3 down, and it can either be 3 or 5, right? So we break the low, maybe, maybe not. We get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 1, 2, 3. And then you have 3, 3, 5, or 3, 3, 3, which is a WXY, which is part of a bigger, more complex wave, right? A bigger, more complex range, or actually, it's hashing out more of a base down in here if we get these crazy oscillation swings. So far still a little bit early to tell. We'll see how that plays out later on. Altcoins, total 3. It still could be, you know, finding that bottom in here. If we get one more wave, right, we'll see how this range plays out. But not too much more to say. Again, even with theta, right, is this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we get bullish between the 5th and the 4th and the 5th? Sure. I mean, yeah, I mean, that would be the idea, right? And that would be a complete, right? We have A, B, C. So let's see if we get that. Could this be coming down for a double bottom, right? We have 3 up, and now we have 3 down, right? 3 up, 3 down, maybe a little bit more down, but then we can get another 3 back up, or we can get 5 back up, right? I would actually prefer 3, and then maybe a 3-way pullback, and then kind of like build up a little bit of a Wyckoff in here. So, you know, we're falling pretty fast here, so this might catch some velocity, and we might be heading lower. But then again, we could, you know, this could be a fake out to the downside, and we're just revisiting the lows, right? One of them was ADA was actually pumping pretty good, I believe, and it still is up decent, right? So ADA is still in a decent area. It kind of reminded me of a little ascending triangle, right? Let's see, did we take the top out? I know it's not exact. No, we didn't. So, you know, we'll see how that plays out for Filecoin, or for ADA. Filecoin is kind of in a similar situation, I'll show you. But as far as ADA, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe we get 5. So, you know, until that is proven, we have to respect the range that it's in, right? So let's see. So Filecoin is actually getting that final wave to the downside. It had that little area there, now it broke to the downside. So maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, let's see if that can hold some support in here. We are coming up, I would imagine, on some support here at $4. And as far as this is actually what I was thinking also, as far as XRP goes, it was looking a lot like a rising wedge, and I was waiting for it to break down. So you can see we had a rising wedge in here, it got to the top, and then bam, it broke it right to the downside. So, you know, this might be maybe a little bit of a good spot for a little long here. Maybe we'll see how that goes. But typically when you fall like that, you get somewhat of a 3-way pullback, to say the least, before down. So it could be a little bit of a trade opportunity there. We'll see how that plays out. But for me, I really want to know if this is going to have one more wave to the downside. I mean, we're right here on support. There's only so many times you can bounce off support. If this was a leading diag, which it could have been, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you kind of have a 5-wave move here. So typically you get a ABC pullback. But the fact that this thing came straight down so hard and so fast, I would have liked to see a 3-wave move right to the downside. So, you know, if you have your rising wedge, you come up here, and then you have a 3-way pullback. But that just came straight down. So I'm wondering if we still have more downside. But not much else here. XLM looks a little better, right? It didn't completely fall down. So maybe XRP might be a good place to potentially DCA. I don't know. You know, theta has that three-wave shape, 1, 2, 3, right? 1, 2, 3. So maybe 1, 2, 3 up before more down. It's kind of hard to say, but it is moving in threes, so I would expect the next direction to be, you know, the opposite of the one it was in. Yeah, not much more to say here. It kind of looks like a bear flag, right, on some of them. So, you know, 1, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like that. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like we already got 5. This could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and look at that. We have a three-way pullback. So Litecoin actually looks the most bullish out of all of them, actually, because you actually have a 5-wave shape here off the low with a three-way pullback, and you have 5 waves coming down. So that's interesting. Now, just because Litecoin is saying that doesn't mean it's gonna jive with all the rest of the charts. I mean, which one's telling the correct story here? But it does look pretty bullish. So I would imagine a bounce is coming pretty soon. But we'll pick up on it tomorrow. We'll have more to say here. Total 3, QNT, Matic. So Matic is getting pretty close to the lows. I mean, you know, if we get down here, it might be a good buying opportunity. Low risk. You know, you set your stop loss right here at the low. I mean, your percentage potential is, you know, from here all the way up to about 92 cents, even up to $1, right? You know, it looks like a 5-wave move to me, right? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So we should be bottoming out soon, hopefully. Let's keep our fingers crossed. I mean, the technicals are there for a bottom to come in soon, so let's play it by ear and see how that plays out. For me, this is not the time to be selling. This is actually the worst time to be selling, especially alts, considering, I mean, you're literally on support. So, you know, depending on which alt you're looking at. Now, you could say, well, that's bearish. You know, it looks like a big head and shoulders. You know, that could be true, but if it was, the neck, it already broke to the downside, right? And that measured move is pretty deep here, right? I mean, you're looking at 34 cents, and that could totally be what happens. But, you know, being on support like this after falling for 5 waves, I mean, I would imagine there's got to be some kind of retracement first before you continue to fall. So that's just what I think, not financial advice. Let's see what happens tomorrow. I will catch you guys on the next video. Let me know what you think about our topic today, our little bit of conversation we had at the beginning of the video. If you skipped ahead, I'd definitely go back and check out that part. Crazy stuff, you know, when you think about it at the end of the day. So, you know, but then again, we live in a crazy world, and probably even a crazier universe full of things we have no clue about. So, you know, for me, money is a big problem. Our money system is broken, and crypto is a really good solution to fix our financial system, if you really think about it. So then we have to ask ourselves, well, what is other things that can be fixed as well? What are other solutions that can fix big problems, right? Most people have money constraints, but a lot of people also have energy constraints. And at the end of the day, it's, alternative currency just like alternative energy. But the alternative energy we have sucks. I mean, yes, it produces, but not at the scale we actually need. So, yeah, interesting topic. All right, guys, that'll do it for this video. I will catch you on the next one. Cheers.